from an Airstream somewhere in Tornado Alley, bringing you the people, places, and stories from the Panhandle to the Red River. This is your Only in Oklahoma show.
Today we're headed to a 100-acre farm in the heart of South Oklahoma City for some farm style and family fun, talking to Shannon Kemp about pumpkin patching and zombie dispatching at the Orr Family Farm. Then we're headed back home, or at least it feels like it, to the Ghost Walk in Guthrie to learn why you never follow a lady into the restroom. Welcome to the OnlyinOKShow. I am Harley. Brett is in the corner for a bro code violation. Brett, you can come over to the microphone now.
This is me slowly inching forward to take my punishment. I've been writing sentences over and over about 100 times.
So, yeah, bro code violation.
I disagree, but I'll take my medicine.
There's no disagreement. I promise you there's no disagreement.
Okay, so
you do not buy another man's girlfriend a gift. And you definitely don't do it without clearing it with him first.
I didn't even think about it. Okay.
I'm going to start off with, there are two issues. One, you did that.
Okay.
Two,
she liked it. That's the other issue.
No,
okay.
That's not the issue at all. The other issue is that it implies that I'm not taking care of business and that I didn't tell her, or that I haven't made up for the fact that we've been spending an exorbitant amount of time working on this show.
Okay, so let me back up. Okay, we've talked about this a number of times. You have said it. I am generous to a fault. I am a live for today. I'll give you my shirt off my back if it's the only one I have. I thought it was a nice gesture for her being patient, for taking up her time, and more often than not, her space. I just thought it was something I could do. And you were, admit, you were a little jealous that I've known you longer and haven't bought you anything yet.
There would be an issue with that. Yes, that is also an issue. We've been friends for going on 2 decades.
Oh, man. Yeah. I know.
Dude, I don't think you've even so much as bought me a coffee mug.
I have bought you a beer stein, and I don't know where it is. I bought you 2 beer steins.
I'm calling bullshit on that. I think you found a beer stein, and you were like...
And thought about you.
I got you this thing! Anyway.
Well... Can I come out of the corner yet? Are my sentences of what I wrote? Thou shalt not buy another guy's girlfriend a gift.
I'm still not buying that you understand that you've done wrong.
Are you saying I don't have spatial awareness, or I have boundary issues?
No, I just think that you feel fully justified in that.
I don't see the issue. It's
exactly. I'm telling you what, guys. OnlyinOKShow on any social media. Please let me know whether Brett was out of line or not.
Maybe I'm not out of line, but maybe you're slightly out of touch with generosity and how those things operate. I was trying to be nice. I'm a nice guy. OnlyinOKShow. Please tell me that doing those things are nice and it's a nice gesture.
Okay, enough airing our dirty laundry on the show. We need to get into our first interview.
Right. We need to head to the pumpkin patch to help dispatch or disperse the rumors that I've done something wrong.
All right. We'll get to that right after this.
Okay. Before we go any further, where'd you get that shirt?
You mean this custom designed OnlyinOK shirt?
Dude, the podcast is 17 seconds old.
The guys over at Master Threads printed them up for us.
Well, apparently not us. I don't have a Only in Oklahoma shirt.
Oh, did you not get yours?
Oh, and apparently a hat as well, embroidered? How is this even possible?
Brett, I'm just going to say that Master Threads is an Oklahoma-based company specializing in professional graphic design and embroidery.
And apparently lightning fast turnaround?
Absolutely. So they had made shirts for us in the past, back in the days when we were only international award-winning podcasters.
Mm-hmm.
They nailed that order too.
Well, apparently I'll have to call Jeff and the team at Master Threads myself to make it happen. But if you need local products from a local company you can trust, check out Master Threads at masterthreads.us.
That's masterthreads.us.
Master Threads. So located in the heart of OKC, this 108-acre family farm has been providing family fun and zombie carnage since 2004. Joining us today is the general manager of Orr Family Farm. It's Shannon Kemp. Good morning, Shannon.
Good morning.
So how's it going? You guys are in.
It's going great.
You guys are almost in full swing of fall activities, but you guys aren't just. This isn't just a 2000. You guys have been around since 2004, but this goes a lot farther back. Tell us a little bit about the history.
Well, Dr. Orr is the founder, and he is a retired veterinarian, and he moved to Oklahoma, and after he retired, and this is where he's raised his family, his children and his grandchildren, and they are all a part of the farm. And so when he was here, he's also a train lover, and so he built a train track for his grandchildren in his backyard. He decided that that wasn't large enough, and so he built it around a mile-long train track around his property. Once he got that done and started sharing it with his grandchildren, he decided that he wanted to share that with the community as well. He wanted to bring back some old-time educational outdoor fun values, like learning to milk a cow, which lots of even adults nowadays don't even know how to do that. So that's his passion. He loves to share with the community. He loves to educate kids and take it back to the basics.
I have milked a cow once at the fair. I don't know if I even remember how to do it, to be honest with you.
Yes. Well, once you started, it would catch up.
It all comes back. It all comes back to you. Right.
Sounds like a blast. I've actually had my kids out there before, Shannon. They had a really good time there. The train is awesome. But your overall facility is, 108 acres?
Yes. Uh-huh.
What are some of the activities that you have going on for the fall, specifically, the Halloween-type activities?
The fall is our busiest time by far. It's the funnest time that you can be out here. With our farm, every child that comes to our farm gets to take home a free pumpkin. So we do field trips for schools and daycares, and we're also open to the public, so they can come in and they can ride our historic train. We have a historic 1974 carousel. And then in the fall, we always include our fall maze that you can get lost in our maze, and we have fun games in that. And then they can also ride the hayride to the pumpkin patch where all the children get a pumpkin to take home with them. They can pet animals. We do still have the life-size fiberglass cow that we started with 15 years ago, that Bessie, that's still working, that you can milk. And so there's lots of fun things that you can do in the fall, as well as our zombie paintball attraction that we do in the evenings on Friday nights and Saturday nights for kids and adults.
I was looking at your schedule. You guys take off a couple months in the summer just to prepare for fall. What I wish would happen is that the summer would take a couple months off because it is still hot, but
it is.
I can't imagine you guys putting it all together out there just sweating it out right now.
Yes. We are hard at work trying to get ready for our opening day on Saturday.
Wow, it's coming. It is vast. It is quickly approaching. So you're not just an average pumpkin patch. I've seen aerial views. Again, 108 acres, when you put it to paper, sounds like a lot, but when you see it from the sky, you got a lot going on out there.
We do.
How much does the zombie apocalypse, how big of an area does that take up?
That really is it's on about 2 acres. And so it is done by a hayride that actually drives out through the middle of an empty field and takes you to 7 different scenes. So it's not a huge area that you definitely don't have to walk, you ride a tractor. So it only takes up a couple of acres.
Oh, wow.
And as far as the level of scariness on that activity, is that something where you have age restrictions, that type of thing?
No, really it's not. Basically, if they're old enough to sit on the bench and shoot the paintball gun themselves, then they can do it. I've even had tall 3-year-olds that were obsessed with zombies that have gone out in the zombie field. It's really not a scary activity. It is an after-dark activity, but it's not scary.
Okay, so I was also looking, you guys, this is you guys have everything. Now, I saw the covered wagon and teepee lodging. Will I be attacked by zombies if I stay the night?
No, we do have our zombies confined, so
Okay.
We have learned how to keep them in one certain area so they cannot escape. And that's why we get our patrons to come in and help us shoot them and keep them in that area. The teepees and the wagons are something that we added. Actually, the wagons we added last fall. The teepees we are in the process of adding now. Those are almost finished, and they're in a couple of different locations on our farm, and they're in prime locations, so they have great scenery and ponds that you can fish out of and watch the sun go down over.
That's definitely something that's a little different. What kind of amenities are included with staying the night in a teepee or a covered wagon?
It honestly has all the luxuries of home or a hotel. all of our wagons and our teepees have plush hotel mattresses, so they're the same ones that are in the finer hotels. We also, each wagon and teepee, we do have bathrooms for them, but they are outside of the building. But we have tiled bathrooms with showers. We provide all of the bedding for you. We provide all of the towels. And then we also have a swim spa that each wagon or teepee gets to spend some time in the swim spa. So it's the best of indoor and outdoor put together.
Wow. I like to pretend like I like to camp, but you guys offer glamping. And that might be a little bit more up my alley. I guess I've just gotten older. I don't like sleeping on the ground near as much as I thought I used to.
Exactly. Me neither. I want to be inside in the air conditioning, which these are heated and air conditioned. So like I said, it's like staying in a hotel in the outside. So I
love that. So Shannon, you guys got big doings. It's seasonal. You guys are doing it fall. You're doing it winter. Not to get too far. Let's not rush through Halloween, but what do you guys got going on in terms of anything new we can expect in 2020? I know you're going to be adding the teepees soon, but as far as activities, is there anything that you can kind of maybe tease a little bit for next year?
Well, we kind of like to keep those things secret.
Yeah.
We can say that we try to add something new every year, so there will definitely be things we're adding in 2020. But we'll have to enjoy the fall season and get through our Breakfast with Santa in the winter, and then in the beginning of the year, we'll announce what we're doing for 2020.
Well, I guess we can wait for that. But Shannon,
absolutely.
How long does the fall experience normally last? Is this something that runs all the way through October into November, or do you have strict cutoff dates?
It actually goes from the middle of September until the middle of November. So our last day of our fall season is Saturday, November the 9th.
Perfect.
Well, Shannon, it's always a pleasure. We love to get to talk to the people that are putting it all together, the boots on the ground. Keep it local, keep it fresh. And you guys have just a wonderful experience out there. I myself haven't been out there. I know. Don't throw a pumpkin at me. But I would love to get out there and definitely check it out. Looks like you guys got a lot going on, and looking forward to the future for sure.
Yeah, come out and visit us. We'll be here till November the 9th, and you can come out and I can show you around.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to have you.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, well, then put me on the velvet rope list then.
Okay, perfect.
All right, Shannon. Well, we appreciate you coming on the Only in OK Show. Love to talk to you again closer to Christmas, because I know Santa's coming to town.
All right. You guys have a great day and a happy fall.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right, Brett, that was our interview with Shannon Kemp.
That's right. I kind of feel like maybe we need some team-building exercises, perhaps go out there and do some trust falls and shoot some zombies. I don't know.
Dude, I'm telling you, the sleeping in a teepee thing, I'm totally down.
What if you and I did that together and we bonded it out?
I think that you might actually tick Amber off with that one.
Probably. She would probably like to spend the night in a teepee.
If you haven't been to Orr Family Farm, it's a blast. The kids love it. There's giant checkerboards. There's the train ride.
There's 108 acres of some kind of activity that I guarantee, whether you're mad at your best friend or you're in love with your girlfriend, there's plenty of things to do out there.
I mean, they have zip lines and all sorts of stuff.
Zip lines!
Yeah, the kids loved it. I am going to say that I really like the every child gets a pumpkin thing. You take a little ride out on a
I need to rent a child.
Wagon.
Well, I need to rent a child so I can get a free pumpkin, but yeah, it's a great deal.
So we have another trip to Guthrie, Oklahoma.
Once again, I kind of feel like we just need to maybe just flip the sign over. It's a now open Guthrie podcast. I don't know. But yeah, headed to another Ghost Walk.
Yes, Stacey Frazier. Man, this is a great interview. I think you guys are going to love it.
Yeah, she's history plus. A lot of history. Plus some haunted stuff coming up. All right, 6 goes into 7. 1 is... God, I'm so frustrated. I'm scared to death. I'm an independent contractor, and I don't want to get punched in the jimmy by the IRS.
Brett, why don't you give our buddy Justin over at the Holiday Tax Group a call? One of their specialties is tax preparation and planning. And then on top of that, if you have a run-in with the IRS, they're going to have your back.
Perfect. But how do I find them?
You can reach them at holidaytaxgroup.com. And if the independent contractor thing works out for you, they also do estate planning. So they got you back on that one as well.
Oh, thank goodness. Thanks for the advice. That's holidaytaxgroup.com. Holiday with 2 L's. Well, Guthrie has played host to politicians, actors, outlaws, ladies in the night, and those are just some of the spirits that may still frequent the local haunts in downtown Guthrie. Joining us today to shed some light on some of the darkest corridors and alleys, our specter specialist, the ghost hostess with the mostest, Stacey Frazier. Stacey, welcome to the show.
Hi, that's a lot to live up to.
Well, it is, and you saw there were two takes there, and I'm full disclosure, I had to do that twice.
Full disclosure. There you go. Hi.
So thank you for joining us. So I really appreciate you getting back to us. You're going to be the third show that we're doing from Guthrie. It's almost like we're batting for the home team.
There we go, right there. That's it. Where it all started, where it all started.
Might as well, right?
I think we're going to change the name of the show to the Only in Guthrie Show.
Only in Guthrie.
Yes. Well, in speaking of Guthrie, Guthrie obviously was the first capital of Oklahoma. A lot of people don't know that. Some people do. But there's a rich, rich history, and it's something that we're more and more about here lately. But give us kind of a little bit of a history lesson about Guthrie.
Guthrie is phenomenal. First of all, find me another town anywhere on the planet where somebody thought it'd be a good idea to say, on your mark, get set, go, let's start a town. Just the whole process of the land run was just incredible. As you know, if you're born and raised in Oklahoma, you probably had it beaten into your skull. April 22nd, 1889, at noon, the cannon sounded, and between 50 and 80,000 people took off and converged on basically what is now Guthrie. By sundown, Guthrie was a town of over 10,000 people. Now, to put that in perspective, Guthrie's population now is about 11.8. So,
wow.
Imagine everybody that lives in Guthrie now just showing up at the same time. It's just an incredible way to start anything, let alone a town. You had people coming in on horseback, fastest horses, trying to get the lands they wanted. Their families would come in usually later in the day on the train and have the rest of the possessions and the tents and everything. One of the things that I still have trouble wrapping my brain around is the fact that there were really no trees here back then. In fact, if you think about it, there was nothing back here. Imagine a town of 10,000 people, and now you've got to feed them because there were no farms, there were no orchards, there were no shops. Everything had to be shipped in, from the lumber they built the buildings with to the food that they ate until they could establish those farms and those orchards and those ways of becoming self-sustaining.
We are so spoiled. Kids.
Oh, my Lord.
God,
yeah.
Try to get a juice box back during the land run.
Good God.
Or
yeah,
a Lunchable, right?
There were people selling, kids were making money selling cups of water straight out of the Cottonwood Creek for a nickel. People were paying other people to stand in line to file their claims.
Oh
you could make a living that first week just standing in line for people. But one of the most amazing things that came out of that, and this is one of the things that a lot of the paranormal professionals believe has what is at the foundation of why we have so many stories in this town, why we have such an incredible level of paranormal activity. It goes back to the way that it was founded. When I'm doing the tour, one of the things the ways that I found to explain it to people is, a few years back we had Mumford & Son here, Gentlemen of the Road Tour.
I was going to mention that, yeah.
Yeah, we had 50,000 people in this town. I still don't know where we put them all. But I always ask people, what's the biggest concert you've ever been to? And, there's always some poor tragic kid that says something just, like Britney Spears or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's very sad. It just breaks my heart. But, think about those major arena concerts, U2, the Stones, something like that. If you are experiencing an event like that, it's obvious that the level of energy in that location is magnified. It truly is more than the sum of its parts.
Mm-hmm.
And when the Gentlemen of the Road were here, that's what Guthrie was. There was a certain level of energy in this town that went above and beyond what it should have been given the number of people that were here.
And if you were one of the lucky ones, kind of not to linger too much on that, but I knew some people that were lucky enough to get tickets, and I knew some people that were not, because not only is it that's something you don't get, and nothing against Guthrie, but that's something you don't get in a place like Guthrie. And they're an international superstars, and you've got 50,000 people that converge on a town with
Yeah.
You're talking that's 40,000 more people than you've got right now.
Exactly.
So yeah, absolutely.
And if you put that in terms of just that sensation of energy, and if you talk to like I say, the paranormal professionals, that's what they go back to. They go back to that level of energy, and it's just a lot of it has to do with just the basic electrical energy that is within every single one of us. I mean, it's what keeps your heart beating. It's the spark that fires the synapses in your brain.
Right.
Electrical energy is a measurable phenomenon. And because the way Guthrie was founded, with everything happened at once, you got to tell, there had to have been that same sensation here of all of that. So you have the perfect combination of events for buildings and locations. You have the people, you have the places, you have the activities that they say that residual energy is left with. And that's one of the reasons, and I think the main reason that they say that Guthrie, we tell people all the time, it's just in sheer numbers, we have more ghost stories per block than any other community we've come across in the state of Oklahoma.
I have no doubt.
It's amazing.
So, Stacey, what kind of experiences have you had in Guthrie on the paranormal side?
On the paranormal side, I'm one of those people that, first of all, I am the world's biggest skeptic, and I'm also the world's biggest baby when it comes to being scared.
Hey, me too.
So it's one of those things where that can be a good thing and that can be a bad thing. But what it's done for me, I think, is it gives me a little bit of perspective going into some of these occurrences, because I have had some experiences in Guthrie, but I didn't know it at the time. And the way to clarify that would be one of the very first stories we ever did. One of the first ones we ever went to was down at the Santa Fe Depot. And it was an encounter I had with someone. Well, no, it was someone who basically intervened on my behalf. And it was an occurrence where, in fact, it was in 2007, celebration of statehood. And one of the ladies at the chamber and I were supposed to be meeting and greeting a couple of buses. Oh, they had us in full costume. It was just so bad. But somehow or another, one of the local guys that still lives here, an older gentleman still lives here in town, so you don't get a name, he decided that he was going to be our escort for the evening, whether we wanted him to or not. He also apparently had found some adult beverages somewhere.
Oh boy!
Because the dude was snockered. We couldn't get rid of him, so we went down to the depot to try to lose him, because that was the year that they got the Heartland Flyer, the train, to come back up, and you could ride it up and back. Anyway, we get down there, and this idiot follows us. We did what any upstanding, reasonable woman does. You go hide in the bathroom, okay? And this idiot is out in the hallway waiting for us. Well, it turned out later that when somebody finally came and rescued us, that they were saying that a woman came out of the bathroom after we went in and spoke to him and basically left the building with him. And the thing is, anybody who's ever been in those bathrooms can vouch for this. The restrooms at the depot in Guthrie are so small. There was barely room for us in these stupid dresses they had us in. And there was nobody in that lady's room when we went in. Nobody came in, nobody left. But the owner swore that we went in. A couple of beats later, this other woman comes out, went over and spoke with the gentleman and walked him out of the building.
Oh, that's creepy.
Listen, I didn't have a clue that there was even a story down there. This was years before the walk started. It wasn't until maybe 7 years ago that I got the whole story. And there was a woman she was one of the Harvey girls that had worked down there. And this is like 1918. They found out that she was engaged, and her fiancé was overseas, World War I. She got yelled at and called to the carpet for it. She disappeared. A year later, that missing fiancé shows up, and he's trying to find her. He spent over a year in Guthrie trying to locate her because she fell off the face of the earth. It wasn't until after he died in 1929 that people started seeing this woman walking along the tracks. All hours of the night, very identifiable in a pale blue dress and all of this other stuff.
Nope.
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 Well, once again, I still didn't know this until I'm talking to this fan. I mean, I had heard certain bits of the story, but, so basically almost 10 years after I didn't know I had an encounter, I'm talking with this family at Boomerang Diner because they had a map. They were trying to find something. Mm-hmm. And it turned out that this man was the great nephew of the fiancée.
Oh, wow.
Who when they finally came to get him and take him home because he was just down here drinking at this point, he spent the last 10 years of his life just reading to anyone who would listen the letters that he and Evelyn had exchanged over, while he was deployed. It wasn't until the wife said, "Oh, tell Stacey about that one letter that these people sit down at Christmas and still read these letters. They've kept that oral tradition going, not to mention that historical aspect of it." She goes, "Tell her the one about when she first got there. Apparently when Evelyn first got here, she had gone and she wrote a letter back to Howard and said, 'I bought the most lovely bolt of fabric. It's sky blue.'" Oh. And it was at that moment, it was like two sides of the same coin. You could see it. It went all over me. It wasn't until then that I realized, holy cow, I had something there and I didn't even know it.
So, Stacey, let me ask you this. Again, Guthrie is just, we talk about the energy conductivity of Guthrie. Paranormal, it's got to be just like a paranormal. You swing a bat, you can't do that without hitting something that's not there. Are there any more famous or as famous ghosts or, goodness gracious, where do you begin? How long is this tour? 6 hours? There's a lot going on.
No, but I'll tell you what, it's 6 years, and every year I have had new stories. I have collected in the last, end of 6 years, between 45 and 50 stories. And these aren't just stories. These are stories that I have researched and come up with the names.
That's what I was going to ask. If you have just the lady in white, or does the lady in white have a social security number?
Well, and see, that's the thing. For me to put this story on one of my walks, I've got to find those verifiable facts. Obviously we are incapable yet of proving and disproving a lot of this. My mom, even after all this time, she's still convinced that I'm just standing on the street going, "Once upon a time."
Right.
No, that's not the way it works. If I can't find the facts that make the story not only possible but plausible, mm-hmm. then I'm just wasting my time. That's why I always talk about finding the history behind the mystery, because to me, 9 times out of 10, the facts are way better than the fiction.
Oh, absolutely.
So how long does a typical tour last?
On average, about 90 minutes, and sometimes it depends on the group. I've got groups that want to go a little faster, and we do, and I've got groups that, I have to throw them out after 2.5 hours. Just tell us another one. And we do. We've got some great stories here. The Bluebell Saloon mm-hmm. is one of my favorite buildings in this town. A lot of people don't realize that the Bluebell Saloon has been the Bluebell Saloon since day one. 2 guys came down on the land run. They were business partners. They each had their horse and a couple of cases of beer. They get down here. They stake out the claim at 2nd and Harrison. And they just set up an open-air bar. They emptied out their crates, flipped it upside down, stole a board, and, booyah, it's the Bluebell Saloon.
They invented it.
Came in later. Yeah, with the tent. And because the building is on the historical register now, mm-hmm. it will always be the Bluebell Saloon.
Right.
Doesn't matter what's in there. Hector's Mexican Restaurant at the Bluebell Saloon. Mm-hmm. But that building alone, that is the single most investigated building for paranormal activity in the entire state of Oklahoma. There have been a couple of universities that have funded studies in there. You've got stories going back. Carrie Nation ran her temperance movement out of Guthrie for a few years. There's stories that involve her in there. There's still hatchet marks on the bar. The upstairs, you had the brothel with Miss Lizzie. And there's stories involving girls, and I'm talking 12, 13 years old, who were not only pressed into prostitution, but basically beaten to death by their patrons for the afternoon.
And that's something you don't hear about. I'm not saying they glorify prostitution in the Old West, but you don't. There's an uglier side to it. That's just heartbreaking.
And the crazy thing is Lizzie was considered a very early philanthropist in this town. The woman knew how to make money. Oh, I'm sorry, you should go to a couple. You're getting ready to lose your farm. I'd want to help. She would financially should hand them a lot of cash. but then should take one of their kids and press them into service for a couple of years. I mean, I grew up on, Gunsmoke with Miss Kitty and,
Absolutely.
all of
Yeah.
that. Cowboys and Indians was fun. Yeah, not so much.
So you said the tour is 90 minutes, and that's probably minus all the questions you get, but kind of walk us through, where do we start, where does it end, and all points in between, if you can.
We generally meet in front of the Apothecary Garden, which is a great location because it gives people a place to mill around and hang out. It's at the corner of 2nd and Oklahoma. Depending on the time of year, this is something that has become a year-round thing. In the summer, we push the start time back to maybe sometimes 8, sometimes 8:30, depending on how hot it is and what the light is doing. Otherwise, we've just gone back to our regular hours, which we start at 7:15. You get a little bit of an intro there, maybe 15 minutes. A lot of what I just talked about, that's what we talk about. We talk about the history of Guthrie and how it was started and why we think we have the activity here that we do. Then I pretty much check everybody's footwear and make sure that everybody can, do we need to do a hill? Do we not need to do a hill? And we take off, and we'll stop at the locations, and I'll tell you some of the history of the building, and then I'll tell you the ghost story that's associated with it. And then it gets interesting because then we start bringing up the facts and the connections and how the two tie together. And that's when some of the questions come out. And I'll tell you what, I've had groups of kids. I had a group the other night that had 6 kids that were between 7 and 10. They were some of the most amazing questions I've ever had. But so we'll do that. We'll just kind of walk around and like I say, depending on which route I'm doing, we'll visit those locations. Sometimes we veer off into something else if somebody has questions. I love it when people bring their equipment. I've got people that will bring their paranormal tracking equipment with them. I've got people that, you're always welcome to take photographs. That's when it gets fun, is when you've got people standing side by side taking a picture of the building, and they come up with different photos.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah, it's amazing. This time of year, we're getting ready into the busy season, to go into the busy season. Through September, we're walking every Friday and Saturday, like at 7:15. Starting in October, this is when it really starts to, everybody you're in the mood for it. Everything's building to Halloween. You're totally in the mood for it. By the 2nd, 3rd week of October, I'm walking Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll do a 7:15. I'll do a 10 o'clock on Fridays and Saturdays. And then I'll even throw in some midnights on Saturday nights just because it gets, one thing, there's nothing like a midnight tour. Usually the groups are maybe 10, 12 people. Town is absolutely silent. And I'm really tired, so Lord knows what story is going to come out. I may put them all together and get confused, but those are some of the most interesting ones.
So you just keep your Fitbit just charged on the charger constantly?
Oh, Lord, it explodes. It just totally, I actually quit wearing it because it was depressing. I'm like, no wonder I'm tired.
Well, I was kind of kidding, but apparently I was close.
No, I'm tracking those miles because it's got to count towards something. There's got to be some kind of a prize.
Yeah, there's got to be somewhere at the end of the rainbow.
Some of the stories are historical in that they happened one time in the past. It was a one-time thing. Some of the stories are current, as in they happen today. And some of them, quite a few of them, are still happening now. People are still having these encounters. That's what's so amazing about this, is that it's not just everything is in the past. There are encounters that people have here all the time. And, what is it they always say? There's no such thing as a coincidence. That is so absolutely true. It may take 2 or 3 years before it plays out, but I will come across things that I started out with a story, 5 years ago, and bits and pieces come around, and all of a sudden I'm going, wow. Great example of that is, the earliest ghost story I found in Guthrie was actually in a newspaper in 1891.
Oh, wow.
I know. I got to be, okay, talk about coming clean. When I first read that, my absolute first thought was, have people even been here long enough to die? And then, then your sanity takes over and goes, you're an idiot. But I also, when I started doing this, there weren't a lot of ghost walks in the state. Tulsa had one, they would do, random events. Jeff Provine down at the University of Oklahoma has always done like monthly tours. But as far as just a dedicated route and city and stuff, there wasn't a lot. So I thought I had kind of a unique thing going. Imagine my surprise when I flipped the page in this 1891 newspaper, and I see an advertisement for a ghost walk in Guthrie.
Are you serious?
I am absolutely serious. I was just like, well, this sucks. But no, here's what, I thought, well, crap, I'm not as, here's what I found out. First of all, they were hosted by a woman named Madame Aubrey. Now, somebody suggested you should put Madam in front of your names. I'm like, no, that's a whole different, no, we're not doing that. I very quickly realized that what Aubrey was calling a ghost walk, today we would call a seance. And so I felt a whole lot better. Yeah, her thing was she said she was able to commune with the departed and make them walk amongst the living once again, hence the term ghost walk. Now, she was here in Guthrie for almost 3 years, and she started out just doing one-on-ones in the boarding house she stayed in, the Atkinson Hotel. But in her heyday here, she was being hosted by, the talk of the town. She would have very prominent citizens have 30 or 40 people in their homes. They would have these big elaborate ghost walks, as they called it. And she was charging $1 a head.
Oh, wow.
In 1891. Now, I charged $10 for adults. Y'all are getting a deal, man.
Yeah.
But here's so I knew that. Here's the thing that took several years to play out. The Atkinson Hotel, I finally figured out where it was in town. It was in 2nd Street, almost just across from the police station. And I happened to find a city directory that said Atkinson Hotel, and it said proprietor. First initial was S, last name was Frazier.
Oh.
Now, thank you. And I went, Frazier. I mean, F-R-A-Z-I-E-R. I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of cool. Well, so there was that moment of, that's kind of weird, because obviously, like you said, my last name is Frazier.
Yeah.
Well, I finally found this guy's name, and his name was Stanley Leonard Frazier. And most people would just go, oh no, I saw that and went, because many eons ago, when I graduated from college with my first degree, they had my diploma wrong. Yeah, my mom took a look at it before I even saw it. She goes, well, isn't this nice? The son I always wanted but never had finally graduated from college after 9 years. My first college diploma said Stanley L. Frazier.
Sorry.
Maybe I've been doing this longer than I thought. I don't know.
Yeah, sorry, but I would be a little... I'd still be a little weirded out, but maybe feeling like it's kind of my destiny at this point.
Yeah, and that's my first thought was, oh God, but then there was that, well, I guess this is what I need to be doing. Yeah, it was just, never stop looking even on a story you've already found, because you never know what you're going to find. Never.
So, Stacey, do you do private tours, say if you have a group or something like that? How does that work?
I do private tours. I also do historical tours. I mean, some people want the ghost stories, some people don't. Basically, it's just connecting with me and figuring out how many people you've got and when you want to go. And I'm really very flexible as far as when we can do those. I do have someone who walks for me when I'm busy with something else. I've got a really good friend of mine, Stephanie Fortney, who is actually, she does a lot of performing here at the Pollard Theater, so she's not afraid to get up and talk in front of a big group of people. In fact, we're already planning every Halloween. We have what we call the Steph Special, and it's basically me allowing her to be herself, because as I've told her, when you are walking the ghost walk, you are representing us, and you got to keep your language clean.
Right.
You got to stick to the stories, right? Because Stephanie is a lunatic. And so for the Steph Special, every year she does a late walk on Halloween, and I cannot vouch for the validity of anything that comes out of her mouth. It basically turns into a pub crawl.
Oh, no.
And there was 2 years ago, I met up with the group after and they were all very happy. And I said, how was it? And this one guy goes, this was amazing. It's like, he goes, the way she told this story, I felt like I was experiencing, I don't know, Lord of the Rings in Guthrie.
Wow.
I thought, when I asked Stephanie, I said, what on earth did you tell him? She goes, I told him Lord of the Rings if it happened to Guthrie. Oh, my God.
Oh, goodness.
But, yeah, we do private, especially this time of year, we do a lot of private walks around the holidays.
Now, does she...
That's the other thing.
Go, I'm sorry.
We do dedicated Christmas walks.
Ooh. Starting
at the end of September. I mean, I've had people go, Christmas ghost stories, that's stupid. I'm like, hello, Christmas Carol. Yeah, I've got a dedicated route of Christmas stories that we do, and we'll do, family reunions, all that stuff. It's just, it's a great way to get people out into the community and to hear the stories and to learn a little bit of history.
Stacey, and kind of, that's really the goal. And why, number one, why I reached out to you is because we love this kind of thing. We used to, in our former life, we did nothing but paranormal. But what I like about it is there's such a rich history in Guthrie. You've got so many things going on up there, telling these stories and really kind of, and doing it in a way that's respectful and kid-friendly and all the things that bring communities together, because it's such a tight-knit community up there. So let me ask you this. It was pretty easy for me to find you, but if somebody's looking to get those private tours or get a hold of you or find you in any number of ways, what is the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Like you say, with the days of social media, there are so many ways. Obviously, you can always call us, 405-293-8404. You can go to our website, www.GuthrieGhostWalk.com. You can find us on Facebook. We have a Guthrie Ghost Walk Facebook page. We do a lot of messaging back and forth that way. If you're looking for reviews, if you want to go to the Travel OK Oklahoma tourism site, you can find us on there and get other people's opinion of what they think the walk is and how they approached it and everything. I've tried to make it very accessible, very approachable, and also very available to groups of all ages. Obviously, I sometimes will have young kids on the walk, and I have to change the tone a little bit. Right. It's amazing how many different words you can find for bordello or brothel or, and I got to tell you, oh my God, invariably I'm using those words, and there's always somebody, and it's somebody's dad every time that will sit in the back and he'll go, "You mean whorehouse?"
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
That's
what I
me.
mean. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, that's you.
I'm that dad.
So I try to be very, you're that dad. I try to be very aware of the audience and what they're receptive to and the age groups. I did a walk last week where I had a little kid, and I say little, his younger brother who was 7 was having a rocking good time. This kid was 13, and for some reason he was really uncomfortable. So just, I don't know if it's a personal experience he had or what, but it's just being aware of who you're telling stories to and trying to make each group as customized to them and to what level of story, like you had mentioning, blood and gore and stuff like that. It really depends upon the audience as to how far I will go into some of these stories.
Well, Stacey, we really appreciate what you're doing down there. We're definitely going to have you come back on the show a little closer to Christmas and tell us a little bit more about the Christmas tours. But thank you very much for coming on the show today. We really appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely.
Sure. Come to Guthrie.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for people from all over to converge on Guthrie. Well, Stacey, again, we really appreciate everything you're doing up there, and hope to hear from you soon.
You bet. Thanks.
All right, man. Guthrie Ghost Walk. Stacey's smart.
She's too smart. You notice on this particular interview, we didn't get a whole lot of words in edgewise because I kind of feel like you just let the expert take off.
Dude, I literally had a list of questions, and I'm just sitting there as she's talking, and I'm just checking off the questions that she answered without me asking them.
It's almost like she does this for a living.
No, she's a lot of fun. Dude, we could do a show a week with her for probably the next 6 months and not run out of new material.
Now, I don't have a family, so I'm not, I'm probably more inclined to stay in a haunted whorehouse.
No.
Did I say okay, I'm not supposed to say whorehouse.
I don't know. I think
brothel. Is that it?
Yeah, haunted brothel. I think we can get away with that.
Okay,
the FCC or
I've never heard. How long has it been since you heard the word whorehouse? Not in a public forum, I guess.
Probably like Dolly Parton or something.
Right. So yeah, definitely we have been cordially invited to the city of Guthrie. So I think we got to get up there.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
There's way too much going on, and then all of the activities coming up in the month of December.
Oh man, they turned that place into like a winter wonderland.
Yeah, I'm all in. So I think we're definitely going to have to make the trip. So Brett, what did we learn today?
I learned that I should never give a boyfriend's girlfriend's gifts without permissions, Mr. Harley.
Is that close?
Dude, I seriously wanted to start an internet poll just to see if I'm out of line.
Did
here,
you
but-
smell the body wash?
Dude, I don't care. That's another thing. You bought her body wash.
I'm not putting it on myself.
Yeah, I'm
not
dude, I'm
even-
telling you, bro code violation. It's flagged. It's
Okay.
on your permanent record.
Okay.
But I think more importantly, one of the things that we learned
Yeah.
is I'm pretty sure we could just say Guthrie is haunted. The whole place.
The whole place is haunted. It deserves to be. I mean, it's like a key focal point in the land run. There's that town. They celebrate it. They welcome the idea. They don't shove it down your throat unless you're at Guthrie Scaregrounds. But it's a scary story wonderland.
Dude, I'm telling you, I think it's probably the only town in America that has a haunted McDonald's.
You're probably right. I think I'm probably more inclined to ride the train at Orr Farm than do a ghost walk up there in Guthrie. I'm just, you know me, I'm spooky. I mean, I'm
easily
scared.
scared.
I'm easily scared. Not spooky, not to give anybody the wrong idea here, but yeah, I'm easily scared.
We'd love to get your feedback on the show. Check out OnlyinOKShow.com, where you can find us on any social media, including Twitter, Facebook, all of those, to let Brett know bro code violation is real. It's legit.
Mm-hmm. It is.
But this has been the
But I don't feel...
Oh, no. Oh, you got
I don't feel like it was a violation. Like I said, I did that for you.
overruled.
I took my licks.
I'm in charge of the mute button over here, bud.
Yes, you are.
This has been the Only an OK Show. I am Harley.
And I am Brett.